perhaps we can start with a very kind of obvious question almost, that I think for those of us who study China in this room, Zhengzhou may not necessarily be a city that is our first choice in terms of research. So I guess the first question really is why did you choose to study Zhengzhou? What really makes it interesting to you?
Great. I should probably start by saying that this book is based on my PhD dissertation. But when I started graduate school, I really had no idea what it was that I was supposed to be doing or what I was trying to research. I was actually admitted to graduate school with a view to doing some kind of research project on the last 20 or 25 years of the Qing period, on the frontiers, thinking about very late Qing and Xinjiang period state building in the late 19th, early 20th century. And I was trying to get some sort of project going on that when I realized that I was just somehow ill-equipped to write about the frontiers of the Qing Empire when I really felt like I didn't know anything about the middle of it. And this was brought home to me just in very casually visiting a few friends around China in the first summer of my graduate school. I visited an old friend of mine from Henan, and we did some tourism in Kaifeng, Luoyang, and spent time in the provincial capital just for a couple of days in Zhengzhou. And I was struck probably by three things. The first one was that there was this vast city that I'd probably traveled through on the train maybe 10 times and just had no idea of anything about it, what had happened there in the past, what was happening there now. And I think that was the moment when I realized that I wanted to really get to grips with this kind of provincial, middle, inland China more than the frontiers. The second thing that struck me was the contrast between the two cities that I ended up writing about, the contrast between Zhengzhou and Kaifeng. I guess there's kind of a personal psychobiography in that I'm from the city of York. I'd spent all my life in York, really, and which is a railway town, a railway junction town. My family had been working on the railways for a long time, but is also a tourist town, like Kaifeng is a sort of walled medieval city. So maybe there was something of my own hometown in both of these cities, but they just felt like very different places to visit as a casual visitor. And I suppose the third thing that struck me was the contrast between both urban centres and the very rapidly changing countryside in between. These are two cities quite close to each other, but with very fast-changing countryside in Zhongmu County in between. So those were the three things that struck me just as a tourist, really. And I went on over the next few years to write a dissertation going from about 1900 to about 1960, comparing and connecting these two neighbouring cities. But when it came to the process of turning the dissertation into a book, I realized that actually writing a book about two cities, it was just getting a bit too much, a bit too big, really, a bit too much to juggle. And I also realized that stopping the story in 1960 was a bit random. It was a kind of arbitrary stopping point. I mean, I basically stopped writing because I needed to finish. And a couple of colleagues encouraged me to take the story all the way through from the 1960s all the way pretty much to the present day. And I realized I just couldn't do that with two cities. So I had to choose which one of these cities to focus on. I decided in the end that we might come to this in a moment, but the kind of city that Zhengzhou is might be the most interesting to write about and contribute the most to thinking about urban history in China's 20th century.